Y'all are still talking about Spider-Man No Way Home? That's right, Jeffrey. We are. So, we have a heavy spoilers video here. Spider-Man No Way Home deleted scenes, Mysterio's return, more Matt Murdock, and America Chavez.
Wow.
Welcome, folks. I am Jabby Kaway, joined by Chara Kirk.
What's up?
And very, very excited to get a little bit more out of this through the help of Heavy Spoilers. Thank you, Heavy Spoilers, for allowing us to react to this. Very, very much appreciate it, y'all. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, please bell icon, all notifications, and vote this up to let YouTube know you're enjoying what you're watching. While you're subscribing and upvoting, subscribe to Heavy Spoilers. There's a link in the description below for the video we're about to watch. If you like it, consider subscribing to Heavy Spoilers. All right, here we go.
Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Paul, aka your friendly neighborhood spoiler man. In this video, we're breaking down the deleted scenes.
Has he said that before? I don't remember that.
I don't know.
Hit the web in the lead up to the digital release, and we now have a lot of details on what was originally supposed to be in the movie. Throughout this video, we're going to be breaking it all down, but if you want to stick around for videos on your favorite Spider Menace, then make sure you hit the thumbs up button and also subscribe to the channel. With that out of the way, thank you for clicking this. Now let's dive into the spoilerverse with these deleted scenes. Okay, so the first major one that we know about featured Matt Murdock and Happy Hogan. In the film, we get a brief scene in which Matt tells Peter that the charges won't stick, but he then says Happy is gonna have to lawyer up because the feds are still coming for him. Jon Favreau, of course, played Foggy Nelson in the Daredevil movie opposite Ben Affleck, and the deleted scene was gonna take more of a focus on him and Matt Murdock. Titled Happy's Very Good Lawyer, the scene focused on the pair discussing his apparent illegal acquisition of Stark Tech and how it helped to fund Peter's terrorist acts. Yes, he did it. The murderer got away with it. Hashtag Mysterio was right.
Mysterio was right.
Stop.
Mysterio
We don't. That's
was
all.
right.
Though we don't have the full ins and outs of this scene, it is theorized that there's someone opposite the pair and that this could be Foggy himself, played once more by Eldon Henson. Daredevil itself has now just moved over to Disney+, and with Kingpin showing up in Hawkeye, it does make sense that he would pop up too, though we're gonna have to wait until the full scene's released to know for sure. It's also been confirmed that Morgan Stark would have made an appearance during the scene, which goes over the stolen Stark Tech. Lexi Rabe was supposed to return as the character, and we would have got flashes of her during the montage in these moments. In addition to this, we were also going to get more focus on the interrogation scene with Damage Control, which would flesh out Peter's interaction with them. It would also showcase him seeking legal help and some of the questioning that was put towards Ned, MJ, and also May. Personally, I think the way that they do it in the movie with Matt Caines coming down works a lot better, and it's way more impactful to introduce him in a scene with a hard cut and somewhat of a mic drop. Matt Murdock being officially brought into the MCU was a major aspect of the movie that got a lot of Marvel maniacs hyped up early on, and I think the way that they do it is much better than anything else we could have got.
I agree, actually. I think that was a good idea on their part, even though I am curious about, this scene or scenes that he's talking about, because it does seem to flesh out the story a little bit more, but it was already a super long film.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it's one of those things where when you're in the editing room and you're going, all right, like, what fat can we trim off of this? I feel like this was probably justified.
I agree. There was this part of the film that seemed to just sort of dip. It just sort of slowed down. I noticed that when they were in the room where he was trying to fix all the bad guys.
Oh yeah.
In the apartment, with Happy's apartment, and I'm just like, God, this is like, I've watched it like 3 times, and so that is always the part where it kind of just slows down for a bit, and then it picks back up when all 3 Spider-Men are together, or when Andrew Garfield comes into the scene. Like then it starts to get like more exciting again. But that would have just been more scenes of like, ugh.
Yeah. Like it's good to just keep it moving and, get people excited for Daredevil and for Charlie Cox, and then be like, all right, peace out. And everyone's going, I want more. But then if we'd gotten more, we would have been like,
Yeah. It would have overstayed its welcome a little bit, and then it would have begged more questions as to why Daredevil wasn't more involved later on in the movie.
Sure. Yeah.
Now, we do have a big list of deleted scenes, and it seems like the majority of these centered around things early on in the movie. This includes an Undercroft montage, Graduation Day, an extended Doctor Strange entrance, and a couple more Daily Bugle reports. Also, I forgot to mention in our every Easter egg video that when Peter enters Midtown High, it's meant to parallel his entrance to the school in Homecoming. The movie had him basically being a complete unknown as he walked through the crowd, whereas No Way Home has everyone staring at him. They all stand there filming the character on their phones and then head over to YouTube to like, comment, and subscribe, the best channel out there.
That's cute.
Now, these reports basically had people ringing in and talking to J. Jonah Jameson about how Spider-Man saved the day at several points in the movie. One was in the aftermath of the fight with Electro that basically talked about how he stayed there all night helping to fix the power lines.
Mr. Burke, you're saying you saw Spider-Man with your own eyes destroying multiple power lines?
Well, technically, he did destroy those power lines.
Well, there you have it, folks. Firsthand, from an unimpeachable witness.
Wait, I wasn't finished.
I'm sorry?
Spider-Man was stopping this guy who was absorbing all the energy from the lines.
Uh-huh.
Spider-Man stopped that dude, and then he spent the whole night repairing the damage. I saw it all. It was amazing.
We'll have to circle back and confirm this, folks.
Nice.
We'll be right back after a brief word from Daily Bugle Supplements.
Oh.
The only other daily fix you need.
And we're out.
Okay, which one of you former employees vetted that nut job?
There's also a bit on the Flash's book, Flashpoint.
Wait, why couldn't that? I guess it would have slowed down the movie, but
Yeah, that was funny.
that was yeah. I mean, as long as you're amusing the audience, I think it's okay.
Yeah.
The issue with adding more scenes is only if it's not entertaining.
Sure, but I suppose once again, if you're thinking about what fat can be trimmed, it's like that information isn't actually really important to the moving along of the story. Do you know what
Sure.
I mean? It's a nice character thing for Spider-Man because then we know like, he spent the whole night fixing the power lines, but yeah.
There's also a bit on the Flash's book, Flashpoint, available in all good bookshops now.
He and I have been best friends for years. I mean, this is a school that we went together for years now. I mean, he's constantly following me up those steps, and, we get into trouble, we do what we can,
As if our public schools weren't dangerous enough between the lead paint, asbestos, and Salisbury steak made from military horses. Don't believe me? Check out my 4-part expose on dailybugle.net.
Now, the villains were a major part of the movie, and in the film, Tom Holland had a bit of a funny scene where he gave May the rundown on them.
There's a electric man, a sand man, there's a dinosaur man, there's an octopus man, and then there's this old man.
Sounds like he needs that was so good.
Let me do that again, that's funny.
And an
The
old
constant
man,
use
that's
of
like,
man here with some stupid.
Wait, what?
I just love it when he says there's an old man.
Yeah.
like that makes you a villain. Like I know I totally understand it because he's talking about Green Goblin and
Right.
it makes sense, but just the line and like dinosaur man and all that, I'm like, oh, it's so cute.
Let me do that again, that's funny.
I love the constant use of man here with some stupid name in front of it, and it does kind of add to the comedy of the movie. Beyond this, we also got a couple of seconds released in which the villains, Peter and May, all stand in an elevator together as they head to Happy's apartment. It's a pretty fun moment of the full cast on screen together at the same time that I quite like because it's nice just seeing them having this mundane moment before it all kicks off. The power cuts for May later on, so she can't go to the elevator. Doc Ock, Sandman and Electro go out the window, and Peter and Goblin crash through several floors on their way out. This moment in the elevator was meant to juxtapose that and show them going up in a really sensible, normal way before all hell breaks loose.
Right.
Now apparently this was cut because the director wanted to keep up the pace of the film and have us go from the Sanctorum directly to the apartment. We just had the mirror dimension chase, so Jon Watts wanted to keep everything at a high level, but I would have actually liked to have seen this play out. It's very much the calm before the storm. I think it would have worked well to balance the drama going on and just give us a quick breather.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of breathers, time for a joke. What's Spider-Man's favorite day? Fly Day. Now, what's
What?
Spider-Man's favorite month? Webuary. What's the opposite of Happy Hogan? Sad Hogan, because Aunt May's dead. Anyway, speaking
Those are like terrible dad jokes, but the last one does get you.
Right. The bit with them in the elevator, I think I would have liked actually. There's a lot of effort that was made towards making sequences montages in order to just move the story along. Like, did we get into the school? Did we get into the school? And it's like cutting through those moments. And I understand why it's there. It's just like those montages, for some reason, the pacing of it just felt off in the editing. I don't know what it was.
I don't know.
But like there was more of that when they were bringing everybody into the building and leaving the dinosaur in the truck for some odd reason. I'm like,
the dinosaur.
like why though? Why is Lizard Man in the truck? But what I'm trying to say is that little bit in the elevator would have actually been nice.
Yeah, it's almost like you said, the calm before the storm. And sometimes when the pace is moving along at a clip, it's nice to have something that's maybe a little bit slower, so you can catch your breath for a minute and then just go right back into it.
Right, it's breaking the rhythm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Of February, we now have our competition winners for the last month on screen right now. So if that's you, then get in touch with me at Twitter at Heavy Spoilers. We're also giving away 3 copies of Spider-Man No Way Home, but I'll tell you how you can get your hands on them at the end of the video. Now, we also know from the concept art and interviews with the creative team that Mysterio was supposed to return in the movie. Come the end of the film, we watch as the multiverse is cracked
that would have
open,
been cool.
and several characters come across that know Peter Parker is Spider-Man. During the shot in which we get Kraven the Hunter and Scorpion, you can also catch the distinctive fishbowl head of the Master of Illusions, and the creative team confirmed it was indeed supposed to be him. Mysterio, of course, exposed Peter's identity to the world, and thus it does make sense that he was going to be the villain that showed up. Concept art for the movie has since been released, and it shows Mysterio was supposed to duke it out with Doctor Strange at the Statue of Liberty. If we look at his powers,
that would have been sick.
Yeah.
Home, they were actually based around Strange's magic, and it would have been great to see them face off against each other.
Yeah.
Mysterio is faker than Iggy Azalea's accent. Yeah, me scraping the barrel of jokes from 2017 there. Moving on.
So, I get why they took it out. I mean, first off, there was probably time constraints and budget constraints at a certain point, right?
Yeah.
Like, this movie was doing a lot as it is. That would have been awesome. Don't get me wrong. I would have loved to have seen it. But it also might have taken away from the fact that this is Peter Parker's movie.
Exactly.
And I think that is also why they deleted the other scenes with Matt Murdock, because it's like all that is, information. Great. It's great. But
It's
it has
great fan service
nothing,
as well.
Nothing to do with Peter Parker, though.
Yeah.
Not directly, anyway.
The creative team actually discussed this in more detail, and they went over how his appearance would have worked. Speaking at IGN FanFest 2022, they said how opening up the multiverse at the end meant opening up infinite possibilities on who could come through. They really wanted Mysterio back, but they realized that if they brought in one character, they'd have to bring in more. You couldn't just have one from the multiverse break through at the end, so they'd need to at least have a handful for it not to feel disappointing, but then it would feel slightly overwhelming. You'd end up distracting from the main battle that was going on, and in the end they just kept it simple with a focus on the 5 villains.
Yeah.
You also know from the concept art that America Chavez was supposed to appear, and that she was going to be the one that brought
Oh
Tobey
my
and Holland
God.
across. We have a scene at the Dutchums where she's standing in the middle with several characters around her, and America can also be seen at the Statue of Liberty battle. I've already done a full video on this, so I don't want to go over old ground, but she had quite a substantial role in the film.
I didn't know that.
In case you don't know, America has the power to open portals across the multiverse, but due to the release order of the films being flipped, this didn't happen. Instead, we got Ned discovering he's a wizard and bringing them across in a very charming little scene in the kitchen, which I do quite like. Now, if you cast your mind back to the build-up of the movie, then you might remember that Tom Holland's brother Harry was supposed to be in a scene, but this too got cut. In it, he was a thief that robbed the store, and then Peter caught him and strung him up. It was at this point that the green paint was thrown over Peter, and he ended up having to turn his suit inside out for the fight with Electro. Now, we also know that Tobey Maguire was supposed to fight with the Green Goblin on his glider. The pair would stand in it together and duke it out in a battle that was somewhat reminiscent of the PlayStation 2 game. One of the big disappointments about No Way Home was that Tobey and Goblin didn't really interact all that much, and though they could in a future film with him ending up alive, I did want to see them at least have a toe-to-toe at some point. The
that would have been cool.
Hurts more than finding out that you only got $1,000, even though
The ad said 3,000.
Spider-Man fought Sandman and the Amazing Spider-Man fought the Lizard, but the face-off with Dafoe was sadly missing. Their rivalry was one of the most memorable things about the original Spider-Man film, and I kinda hope that we at least get them on screen together again at some point. And lastly is my favourite part, the bloopers.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Jacob and Zendaya here. We're about to show you the bloopers. Sometimes movie making seems very serious, but a lot of times comedy gold happens. Well, there's a lot of falling and swearing. I hope that they'll bleep that out.
I did enjoy the bloopers for this very much.
Blooper reel. I think it's time to go.
Roll it.
Nice.
Now I understand that joke.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all the deleted scenes info that we have released over the last couple of days, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Obviously, I'd love to hear your thoughts on whether you think things should have been cut or not,
cute.
so comment below and let me know.
All right, so we have one more thing here that is from Cosmic Wonder that details a deleted Goblin fight scene So we'll check that out.
Okay.
But let's address this real quick. The entrance with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. New Rockstars posted a clip on their Instagram page of just that moment. And they're like, it was a lot better in the theater with like the roaring and whatnot, because you watch it and it's almost like you're expecting that sort of attitude from the room.
Right,
Because it's it's like part of the film. It's
like theater,
Yeah.
you know, hold for applause.
Yeah. It's because it feels like it's supposed to be part of the movie, the cheering and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like you're watching a sitcom or something.
Yeah.
And it's just nothing. Like Andrew Garfield shows up and it's, you know, there's no cheering, there's just a lot of silence before he goes, I'm Spider-Man.
Well, I think you mentioned this when we were talking about this. I don't know if it was like in the spoiler review or something like that, but you know,
Theatrical.
it really is a theatrical, like, audience participation experience to
Yeah.
watch this.
Yeah.
And if you've managed to not see this in theaters and then to watch it at home,
Yeah.
it might feel a little bit like, oh, why is that bit so long? And so, yeah, I think you mentioned that, you know, you wondered what it would be like for people, you know, 10, 20 years
Right.
from now watching that scene and being like, I don't get it.
Yeah, it doesn't have the same impact.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then the stuff with regards to Tobey Maguire and Green Goblin. Yeah, like that was odd. It was just a weird thing to not have in there when you have the titular character, the bubular character from the original, right? And,
Yeah.
and Green Goblin, like the first nemesis, and not have some kind of interaction between them that is serious.
Yeah.
It seemed like quite the lost opportunity. Like, why wouldn't you do that in this film? Like, I think that we could have dealt with the extra 5 minutes of movie or whatever to afford that, because I think that people would have really like lost their shit over that.
And especially if he's saying that the original plan was to get both of them on the glider, that would have been so cool.
Well, they did something like that, didn't they, with Tom Holland? I don't know. It's been a minute since.
He was hanging off it.
Yeah,
He was,
exactly.
like, on it.
Yeah. So, anyway, let's look at Spider-Man No Way Home deleted Goblin fight scene and bloopers. Okay. Oh, so there was supposed to be a battle between Spider-Man and Green Goblin, I guess. This is all.
What?
Okay, that's all we needed, really. That was because the rest of this we've seen before. We have a whole reaction dedicated to the outtakes. But like, this is wild.
What is this, like a 3D render video thing?
It's a previs of how it was
Previs.
going to be shot and put together. Because, you know, I mean, for those of you that don't know, I'm sure most of you guys know this, but for those of you that don't know, movies always have previs, especially movies of this scale, in order to get a sense to what they're going to be shooting, how they're going to shoot it, the direction. It helps out the director to realize his vision. It helps the visual effects artists. It helps everybody to see this previs, right? And so I guess initially what was planned was a fight scene between them, and it just got cut for any number of reasons. Could be budget, could be time, but it made a smooth transition into, you know, Spider-Man being with Doctor Strange and Doc Ock.
Yeah.
You know? All right, cool. Well, that about wraps that up. You guys, thanks so much for hanging out. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Do subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell icon, please. All notifications, and vote this up to let YouTube know you enjoyed what you watched. I'm Jabby Kawai. This is
Achara Cook.
Peace out.